Hello friends, welcome to Learning. My name is Dr. Ben. Today we are going to learn some awesome stuff. Learning is for everyone. Let's make it fun and let's enjoy. Welcome to Lesson 2, Managing Workbooks and Worksheets. Module 2, Editing a Worksheet. If you are enjoying this content, please subscribe below and click on notifications. Notifications sends you an alert when new content is created. Let's get started. In this module, we will take a look at cutting, copying, pasting, and moving data in an Excel workbook. We will also take a look at the paste special feature Excel has to offer. If you have not reviewed Lesson 2, Module 1, I encourage you to check out the module first. Let's dive into the objectives for Module 2. At the end of this module, you will be able to cut, copy, paste, and move data. You will also be able to use the paste special feature. There are numerous ways you can cut, copy, paste, and move data in Excel. There may be techniques you are already using. Please follow along with me as I demonstrate some practices used to cut, copy, paste, and move data. Let's also create dummy data as we did in Module 1. Select cells A1 through H10. I'm selecting cell A1 here and moving all the way to H10 and release. Since A1 is already selected, type in the function equal rand between. I'm typing my equal sign and the words rand between. Notice that the function appears underneath the cells. Double click on that function. My arguments are the bottom number I'm going to use as 10 with a comma. The top argument, my number, 100. I'm going to close it with my parentheses, my closed parentheses. Recall that we replace the bottom number with the lowest possible number and the top number with the highest number. Type in the numbers needed for your sample. Once you've done that, press Control key and enter. Control and enter. Our numbers appear. Now, to lock the numbers so they are no longer functions in each cell as you see above in my bar, go ahead and point the board to the border down below. Press your right mouse and drag that animal down just a little bit. Now bring it back up. Let go. And now click on copy values here. Copy here values only. Notice now that the cell A1, I now have a number there. The functions are now gone. Our dummy data is ready and we're going to save this file. I'm going to save my file to my desktop. Save as to my desktop here. And I'm going to call this particular file Module 2 underscore cut and paste. Click Save, and that animal is now saved. Let's talk about cutting data. If you want to move data from one position to another, you can cut the data and paste it into the new position instead of re-entering the data in a new position. To cut the data, let's select cells F1 through G1. F1 through G1. We can either select the Control X or right-click to access that context menu, and then select Cut. Or on the ribbon on the Home tab in the clipboard group, select the Cut button. That's right here. Please note, nothing will happen except for a dotted line rotating around the selected cell or cells. I call these marching ants. However, the cut data has also been added to the clipboard. You need to paste the cut data somewhere else if you want to reuse it. Let's go ahead and open our clipboard using the clipboard launcher icon to see our cut data. Our clipboard launcher is right here. As you can see here, our clipboard items to paste are 32 and 15 in those cells right there, F1 and G1. The clipboard allows us to retain 24 copied items and paste it at any time while working in the Excel sheet. It will even list anything you copy from other applications, such as Word or Microsoft PowerPoint. Select an item and then select the drop-down menu, and notice our choices here. I'm selecting this item and you have a drop-down menu. We can either paste it or delete. Those are our choices. For now, go ahead and click the Escape key on your keyboard to cancel our cut action. We will get into pasting the data shortly. We're just now looking at how to cut the data. We're going to paste it shortly. Go ahead and use that Escape button. And there you see it. The marching ants are gone. Go ahead and close that clipboard. Let's discuss copying data. To copy data in Excel is somewhat similar to copying data in Microsoft Word. To copy data, we can use one of the following methods. First, we can select cells to copy. Let's see, I'm going to select my cells to copy here, G1 and H1. We can either hit Control-C on your keyboard, Control-C. Notice the marching ants appears. I'm ready to copy G1 through H1 anywhere in this worksheet. Go ahead and hit Escape on your keyboard to get out of that function. With those cells still selected, right-click the cells to access their context menu and select Copy. Right-clicking, Context menu, select Copy. Another way of or strategy used to copy cells, let's go ahead and hit Escape here, is to select the cells to copy. I'm going to select those cells again. On the ribbon on the Home tab in the Clipboard group, select the Copy button. Notice our marching ants appear again. Remember, any data you copy in Excel will be added to the clipboard, which you can access via the Clipboard launcher right here in the corner of the Clipboard group. I will now demonstrate for you other ways to copy data. Let's look at duplicate data. Select Control-D to duplicate the cells above selected cells or cell. For example, in cell B1, I have the number 15. If I select cell B2 down here, select cell B2, and I use my Control-D, look what happens. That 15 you have in B1 is now copied into B2. Let's do this again. I'm going to Control-Z to get back to 44. Going over to, let's say, H2. H1 has 90. H2 has the number 82. My cell is selected H2. I'm going to copy the cells H1 into cell H2 by hitting Control-D. It is now at 90. That's our duplicate way to copy data. Another way to copy our data is to repeat. We're going to select Control+R to repeat the cells to the left of our selected cell or cells. For example, if cell D3, let's say D3, contains the number 49, if I select the cell E3, 100, and then select Control-R, look what happens. That 49 is now in cell E3. Control Z to get back to that. Remember, select Control R to repeat the cells to the left of a selected cell. I'm going to repeat this cell 43, or G6, number 43, into cell H6. Hitting Control R, 43 is now in cell H6. That's our repeat function right there. Let's talk about the control and drag way of copying. Control and drag. We're going to select cells or cell to copy. I'm going to copy these cells here, G7 through H10. Move our cursor down to the border of the selected cells until it turns into a four-sided arrow or a move pointer. Notice my four-sided arrows here. I want this, not this. This is a plus sign. You don't want that. That's something totally different. You want the four-sided arrows. Hold down the Control key on your keyboard, and the cursor should have a small plus sign on the right side. You're now in what's called copy mode. Left click and hold on the border of the selected cells and drag to your location. Notice that a solid or dotted line will appear as a helpful guide for you. There we go, look at that. Release the mouse button, now release your Control key. There's your copy. Let's try this again. I'm going to select these cells here, D8 through E, let's say 10. Taking my mouse pointer down to until I see the four-sided arrow or a move pointer. Hold down my Control key on my keyboard. The cursor should have a plus sign to the right of it, as you see here. Left click the mouse and hold down onto the border and move wherever you want to go. Release your mouse, release your Control key. And there you have your copying. Another way of copying data is to use that format painter, which is right here, the format painter. We use the format painter to copy special attributes, not the content, just the attributes of a cell. The format of a cell refers to the attributes such as the font style, the color, size, and the borders. We're going to cover this in detail later on in other modules, but let me give you a small sample right now. Let's say example, I have 94 here in H10. It is now calibre 11, but I'm going to change that to 16. I want the same size font for H8. I will use my format painter to give me that size or to copy it over. I'm copying formatting or special attributes by using my format painter here. Click on that. It's now highlighted. The marching ants appear around the cells. I'm selecting cell H8 and voila. I now have that same attribute as 10, H10, in H8. That is format painting. Let's move on to the use of autofill as a copy. We've done this in earlier modules. If I wanted to copy my cells, let's say I have a cell here 7, and I want a list of 7 all the way down, say 4. I'm going to copy it, drag it down, and it's copied. Looking at my autofill options, that copy cell is selected. If it was not selected, I will get a fill series if I select this fill series, but I want to copy those numbers instead of fill series. It's copied. So we use autofill, we use format painter, we did the control and drag, and we did the repeat and duplicate. Those are other ways to copy our data. Let's move into pasting copied or our cut data. There are several methods you can use to paste copied or cut data. After selecting the cell where you want to paste that data, I'm going to select the cell here in 94 or H10 using my copy feature. I'm ready to paste this by using the Control plus V feature. I'm selecting my place where I want to put the cell or put the number. Control V as in Victor. I now have 94 there. I can right click or access that context menu and select paste. I'm going to choose this cell here, right click, and then I can choose paste right here. I get my 94. Now notice that I am copying or pasting everywhere here, and notice my context or my cell is still selected as copy. That's good. I want to select here 07, and I'm going to select from the drop down menu right here. Not drop down, yeah, the drop down on my clipboard, paste right here. 94 comes up again. I can also go to my clipboard, as we talked about earlier, using my clipboard launcher, and I can select any one of these items here and paste wherever I want in my sheet. I'm hitting paste. I'm hitting the drop down arrow and selecting paste right there. And I can also paste any of these items on my clipboard into my worksheet. I can hit here, select paste, and there's my 1590. The last item, or actually notice here, the last item I hit, my marching ants are gone. I no longer have access to copy this particular cell. I can also use a feature, let me hit that Control C again, by selecting anywhere I want in my sheet, hit my Enter key, and my item is pasted. And notice when I hit my Enter key, I no longer have available that copied feature for 94. I can also hit that 94 again. Let's check this out. Copy. I can use Control Alt V, Control Alt V, and that gives me a special paste special dialog box, and I can use any of these options here in this dialog box I want as paste special. Clicking OK, that gives me the 94. How about rows? If I select an entire row, I can paste that too. And copy. I can use my sheet here, right click, insert copied cells will give me that row. I can use my function here to choose to shift the cells to the left or right or up or down, as I mentioned here. My row is now copied. These are some of the highlights or methods you can use to paste copied or cut data into your sheet. Let's go ahead and discuss the moving of data in your worksheet. To move data, select the cells you want to move. Let's select the cells you want to move by selecting the Control X and then paste your data. I'm going to move these two cells right here, hitting Control X. Notice my marching ants. I'm going to select anywhere in my worksheet. Let's say right here. Hit there. What am I going to do? Paste that animal. Control V. I've now moved my cells from G10, H10 to D20 through E20. That's my move feature. Another method you can try to use is to move to the border of those selected cells. I'm going to move to the border of these cells here. I'm going to select and drag these cells, items, to a new position. Now don't use the bottom right. That's that plus sign again. It's just going to fill the data. We don't want that. We want to move it by selecting anywhere on that border, getting my arrows here, my 4 arrows. I'm going to drag this anywhere I want in my sheet, right here. I've moved it from here to J20, K20. Let's look at now the paste special feature. The paste special feature allows you to paste copied items in numerous ways, including format only, value only, or as a link. In practical terms, you could say that the paste special allows you to paste the attributes of a cell rather than the contents of a cell. Now, most Office applications offer paste special options. However, Excel's options are probably some of the most striking. Let's take a look at this animal. To access the paste special options, let's go ahead and copy our data we want to paste, and then paste that data to a new location using one of the methods we've just discussed. So what I'm going to do here is look at my sum column in my Excel spreadsheet here. I'm going to copy this data, copy that using the regular copy function, Control C. I'm going to use two ways or two methods to go ahead and copy or to paste this information. Let's do it the regular way. I'm going to show you something here. Control V. Oops, I just messed that one up. Select my area. Now I'm going to use Control V. Notice what happens. I get just the formulas here in Control V. That's not where I really want. Notice that also that when I select or paste my data on this spreadsheet, the control button appears, which is down here. I can go down and select that and look. It's pasting through the regular way. It gives me nothing but the formulas. If I want to paste special to get that sum data, I need to hit my formulas button. Look what happens. It gives me just the formulas. If I click on that and look at my formula bar, it gives me the formulas. I don't want the formulas. I may want to look at the values of that. So hit down below, look at paste the values. I get that, just the values, but I'm not getting the formatting of that with the dollar signs. I'm just getting the values with this paste special. To do that, I want to go back here and look at this one, keeping the source. This arrow is over. Keeping the source there, and now I have my values and my source information. This paste special. I'm going to look at this another way. I'm Control Z to get out of that. I'm now going to hit my Control Alt and V. Look at this. I get my paste special dialog box. I want to look at the values right here and click OK. It gives me those values. Looking at this again, Control Alt V. I want to look at my formulas. Click OK. It gives me that, just the formulas. Control Alt V again. I want to get what? I want to look at this animal and get my formats. This gives me just the formats. Clicking it again. You see what I'm doing here? I'm going down each one of these to see what it gives me. It gave me that, but I want to get the others, but this doesn't have. I want to look at my formulas and number formats. Here we go. But it didn't give it to me this time. Why is that? Values and numbers. There we go. That's the one you want. Values and numbers. Open that up, and there's your values and numbers, the same as your sum. I want to also look at this for the transposing of numbers. I'm going to click out of this and click on my taxes. I now have the numbers in a horizontal position. I want to look at these numbers here at a vertical. It's now vertical. I want to look at these at a horizontal position. Clicking here, Control Alt V, hit transpose. The numbers appear at a horizontal level. The same thing can apply to if I want to take these numbers and look at them through horizontally, I can copy, clicking where I want it to go, Control-Alt-V, and transpose. It now gives them to me in a vertical position. So paste special is a pretty good function as it allows you to paste the attributes of a cell and its contents in most areas. But be very careful. If I look at this differently, let's say I want to take this, copy it right here through regular means. I get my data through regular means. But in paste special, I can look down here and paste as other paste options. I have this as a link. Look what happens. This gives me a link, which means that if I change an item in this area here, let's say 100, it's going to change it down there as well. See what happened? Because I special pasted this as a link. In my formula bar, I'm looking at just the links only and not the actual values. One other thing to watch out for is if you're using Excel to conduct your calculations and your analyses, pay particular attention to this particular paste special function. You may or may not use this, but be careful. Right here, other paste options, as a picture. You now have a picture. Guess what? If I'm using this data elsewhere in other spreadsheets, I'll move it over or copy it over, and I forget that this is a picture, you will lose the ability to perform any analytical functions because it's a picture. It's not a value or a number. So be careful when you're pasting your information. Make sure you're pasting values or numbers when you're doing that. So that's it for the paste special portion. You know what? It's time for a knowledge check. Attempt to answer the questions presented. You may pause the video after each question to review. Return to the lesson when you are ready. The answers to each question will be displayed a few seconds after the reading of the question and possible answers. Let's begin. In Excel, we can cut data from a worksheet by which of the following methods? A. Select the cell or cells to cut and then select Ctrl plus X. Select the cell or cells to cut and then select Ctrl plus Z. C. Select the cells to cut and then select Ctrl plus V. D. Select the cells to cut and then select Ctrl plus Y. The answer is select the cell or cells to cut and then select Ctrl plus X. In Excel, the most popular method used to paste, copy, or cut data is by which method below? A. Select Ctrl plus X. B. Select Ctrl plus Z. C. Select Ctrl plus V. D. Select Ctrl plus Y. The answer is C. Select Ctrl plus V. In Excel, what is the function of the paste special feature? A. Allows you to paste copied items in limited ways. B. Allows you to paste numbered items only. C. Allows you to paste copied items in various ways, including format only, value only, or as a link. D. Allows you to paste cut items in various ways. The answer is C. Allows you to paste copy items in various ways, including format only, value only, or as a link. What did we learn today? In this module, we discussed how to cut, copy, paste, and move data. We also discuss how to use the paste special feature. This is the end of Module 2. Thank you for watching. Please check out Lesson 2, Module 3, and the Capstone for Lesson 2. The Capstone will cover Modules 1, 2, and 3. I will have for you a link to the Dropbox for your Capstone Lesson 2. Thanks again for watching and have a great day. Goodbye.